primary, primary, primary. The word primary is a very useful term that refers to something that comes first in order of importance, priority, or sequence. As a part of speech, primary is an adjective, which means it modifies a noun and gives more information about its characteristics. In common usage, you'll hear primary used to describe the main or initial stage of something, such as primary education, which refers to elementary school, primary source materials, original documents or evidence, or even primary colors, the basic colors that other colors are created from. What's interesting is that primary can also have a negative connotation when it comes to health, like primary care physician, which implies a doctor who specializes in general medical care rather than specialized treatment. I'd be happy to help you with some practical examples of using the word primary in different contexts. So, if we're talking about education, I might say something like, my child's primary school is just around the corner from our house. This is a casual conversation usage where we're discussing everyday life. In formal or academic settings, you might say, the primary cause of climate change is attributed to human activities in greenhouse gas emissions. Here, we're using primary to mean the main or most important factor in a particular situation. And if I'm a marketing manager trying to convince investors that our product is the best, I might say, our primary target market for this new smartphone model is urban 18 to 35-year-olds who value cutting-edge technology and sleek designs. This is an example of how we use primary in business or academic contexts to highlight what's most important or relevant. So you want to know what we call the most important school that kids go to when they're really young? Well, let me tell you, this type of school is where children first start their formal education, usually between the ages of 5 and 11. The main characteristics of this kind of school are that it's designed for younger students who are just starting out with reading, writing, and basic math skills. It's also often a place where kids can make friends and learn social skills. In terms of similar concepts or synonyms, you might hear people refer to it as elementary education, kindergarten, or even just school, but we're talking about the one that comes before high school. As for what it does, this type of school lays the foundation for a child's future academic success by teaching them essential skills and subjects like English, math, science, and social studies. It's a really important part of a kid's educational journey, and it's usually where they make some lifelong friends and memories too. Purchase, purchase, purchase. Hello there. So, you want to learn about the word purchase, right? Well, let me break it down for you in simple terms. Purchase is a verb, which means it's an action word. In common usage, people use purchase to talk about buying or acquiring something. Like when they go shopping and buy some clothes or food. You can say things like, I made a purchase at the store today, or, she purchased a new book for her birthday. The key thing to remember is that purchase usually implies an actual payment or exchange of money, unlike words like get or take, which might not necessarily involve paying. Also, keep in mind that purchase can be formal or business-like, so it's often used in professional settings, like when a company buys supplies or equipment. Just remember to use the correct form. Past tense is purchased, present participle is purchasing, and the plural noun form is purchases. Here are 3 practical example sentences using the word purchase with varying levels of Formality. You're planning to buy a new smartphone and you want to know if it's worth the investment. So your friend recommends checking out reviews online before making the purchase. In this casual conversation context, the use of making the purchase implies that the decision to buy something is an intentional act, rather than just picking up something on impulse. On a more formal note, in a marketing report, you might say that our sales team recorded a significant increase in purchases over the past quarter, indicating a growing demand for our product. Here, the word purchases takes on a slightly different connotation, implying a series of transactions or exchanges rather than a single act. In an academic paper on consumer behavior, it's not uncommon to see sentences like, "Research suggests that consumers tend to be more likely to make purchases when given incentives such as discounts or rewards." In this context, the word purchases is used in a more technical sense, implying a systematic analysis of buying habits and behaviors. So you're trying to learn about this thing that people do when they want something new, but haven't made the money for it yet. It's basically an act of getting what you need now and paying for it later, like at a store or online. The main characteristic is that you're taking something with the promise to pay for it in full at some point, which can be today, tomorrow, or even weeks from now. You might hear people talking about putting things on layaway or using credit. These are similar concepts where you get what you want but don't have to pay right away. When people do this, they're using a system that helps them borrow money for a little while until they can afford to pay it back in full. Range. 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 So, let's talk about the word range. The part of speech for range can be a noun, a verb, or an adjective, which can sometimes make it confusing to use correctly. As a noun, range refers to a series or set of something, like a range of mountains or a range of prices. When used as a verb, it means to extend in different directions from a central point, such as the sound of a gun that ranges out across the landscape. And when used as an adjective, range can describe something that is extensive or varied, like a car with a good range on its fuel efficiency. In common usage, people often talk about the range of options they have in a particular situation, or how far their voice can carry over a long range. A special note to keep in mind is that range and ranged are not interchangeable. If you're talking about something that happened at multiple points, use ranged. But if you're describing a series of things, stick with range. In a formal context, such as a university lecture on astronomy, you might say, the telescope's range of motion allows us to observe celestial bodies in various parts of the galaxy. This usage highlights the physical extent to which something can move or be moved. In a casual conversation between friends about their upcoming vacation, someone might say, "I'm thinking we should try that new restaurant that's supposed to have an amazing dessert range, you know, all sorts of crazy ice cream flavors." Here, the word range is used to refer to a variety or assortment of something. In a business meeting discussing marketing strategies for a new product line, you might hear someone say, "We need to adjust our pricing range to stay competitive in the market and appeal to a wider customer base." This usage emphasizes the limits within which something is available or applicable. So you want to know what range is all about? Well, think of it as a set of values that something can take on, like numbers or words, that are connected and related in some way. For example, if we're talking about temperatures, a range might be from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Anything within those two numbers is considered part of the range. The main characteristics of a range are that it has a clear start and end point, and everything in between is also included. Similar concepts or synonyms for this idea are scale or scope. And you might use the word range to describe something like the different types of music you like, where one type might be at one end of the range and another type would be at the other end.